can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk, your home of betting tips and analysis on a wide range of sports, one of which is boxing, which is why we are here, Niall. We are in final prediction mode for the WBO World Featherweight title fight happening on the Naoya Inoue undercard at the T-Mobile Arena this Sunday in Las Vegas. Of course, we are talking about the champion, Rafael Espinoza, as he makes a defense of his WBO 126-pound strap against Edward Vazquez. We'll dissect the fight a little bit further, but first and foremost, Niall, give me your final prediction. Where is your head at? Just days away from Espinoza Vazquez.
Thanks for having me on. I'm going to jump straight into it. It's a Espinoza win for me. Stoppage. I think he gets a stoppage here. Um, Vasquez is a good fighter. You know, he is a decent fighter. We've seen it against Joe Cordina. He gave Cordina all he could handle. Arguably won that fight, to be honest with you. You know, some people's eyes. But I think, yeah, I think his aggression is kind of might be his downfall here and walk him onto something. It's going to walk him onto something big, and I think Espinosa will put his lights out in about 6 rounds. To be honest with you, I'm a big fan of Espinosa. I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about him in this video, but yeah, I think to be honest with you, Espinosa is the best featherweight in the world for me, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm going for a Rafael Espinosa stoppage in 6 rounds.
Nice. No pulling your punches there, Niall. Very, very good. I like it. You sound confident. I agree with your who you are backing the win, and I agree with the method of victory. I think that you made a few good points. I think Vasquez, when you actually look at his two defeats, one was a majority decision defeat as to Joe Cordina, and that was his last loss, which was what 3, 4 fights ago. As you mentioned, he did quite well in that fight. Maybe unfortunate, and did Joe Cordina kind of get a hometown decision? One of those questions. And his only other defeat was a split decision to Ray Ford, obviously, both of which are of course at 130. So he's now trying to planning to trade back down at featherweight here. So will that make a difference? Remains to be seen. When you look at it on paper, like Espinoza, how the hell does he make featherweight? It is absolutely insane. I mean, I know he's got like a big, skinny, wiry frame, but at 6'1", to weigh 126 pounds, it frightens me to think what he would weigh on the night. Just because he is so big, so rangy, got all of there's substance to his size as well. He's a big puncher. He's a good boxer. Good shot selection, good feet, all of the above. So yeah, I think he wins this. I think he wins via stoppage. I'll go a little later than you, although I can see why you're saying those things about Vasquez. His aggression could be his downfall. He could walk onto a shot. I actually think he could maybe frustrate Espinoza slightly early. Um, well, could he pick up a round or two? Perhaps. I do think he'll maybe come unstuck in the mid to late rounds. You're going round 6. I'll probably do just into the second half. I'd probably say between rounds 7 and 9 is probably where my head would be at for an Espinoza stoppage. I think eventually Espinoza will pick him off, and when Vasquez, as you said, is kind of knows he's down on the cards. Excuse me, and knows that he's probably going to need a stoppage himself to win. Maybe become even more aggressive than he already is. So yeah, I believe Espinoza will get to him and stop him just into the second half of the fight. So maybe a little bit later than you, but yeah, can't I can't disagree, mate. I think we're both in agreement. Espinoza win, Espinoza stoppage, and do you know what, man? I can't really disagree with having him at number one at featherweight as well. When you look at the landscape, hopefully there are some big unifications or undisputed or what have you fights in the not so distant future for Espinoza. Because yeah, I want to see him in with the best fighters in the division. That's what we all want to see. So fingers crossed that can happen. And it's a good platform for him here as well, of course. Fighting on the same card as Inoue in the co-main event. So yeah, big fan of Espinoza, and I do believe, like you said there, he could be number one at 126. May as well pick up on what we've just said there, and kind of I suppose we don't want to look too far past Vasquez, who is a game fighter, who is probably a world class fighter, I'd say. But let's say we wake up on Monday morning and Rafael Espinoza's won, and he's won handily. When do you want to see him next? Who do you want to see him in with? Are there any names in particular out of those champions that you think in the matchup, kind of favors him better, or any of those matchups where you think, oh, I really want to see that fight? It's intriguing, great classic styles, or is it just kind of any of the other champions?
Yeah, it's a good question. As I say, I think we kind of both have him at number one, to be honest with you now. And there is interesting, very interesting unifications. Nick Ball is a really fascinating one, due to the size and the styles. You know what I mean? We mentioned Espinoza, tall, rangy, really good combination puncher, big puncher, heavy-handed, and then you've got Nick Ball. The buzzsaw type of style, the kind of bulldozer, bulldog style in Nick Ball. I think that'd be just fascinating to watch. From a stylistic standpoint, I think I think Espinoza beat Nick Ball, to be honest with you. And then you've got the likes of Stephen Fulton, which is another interesting fight, the kind of slick back foot style. See how Espinoza was to deal with that. Um, Fulton had a good win last time out, good performance, but I think Espinoza get it done there again, and then Angelo Leo, I'd favour Espinoza against as well. And then you've got, of course, the elephant in the room, the man in the main event slot for Sunday, anyway, to come up. And a lot of people think Espinoza give Inoue the most problems, and I probably agree with that. Purely again because of what we've mentioned, the size, the range, the power. Not saying he beat Inoue, but I'd absolutely love to see it. I think he could give Inoue a lot of problems. But before that, I would like to see him maybe unify the division. Who knows? Are they setting up for an Inoue fight next though, with them being on the same card? At the co-main and main event. There's also talk of Inoue and Nick Ball, but yeah, if it's not Espinoza and Nick Ball, I'd definitely like to see Espinoza give Inoue all he can handle, definitely.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as you were talking there. I was like, they're on the same card here. Is there something that are they trying to tell us something? But realistically, we're probably going to have there's Inoue is going to have that Aquadalia fight probably. Then maybe move up, and by the time you're talking a fight with Espinoza, it could be another year at least, maybe. So yeah, I'd say that if you're a new area as well, without making this in a new area video, there is obviously a final prediction video for that on the channel, so do check that out on this as well as all the other fights this weekend. But yeah, I think that the more likely a new A fight would be against Nick Ball. I think he would maybe see that as or Fulton, to be honest. 'Cause he's already beaten Fulton, and he's like, well, I can beat him up. What's the difference in beating him at super bantam and featherweight? But anyway, yeah, I'd love to see Espinoza in against all the other champions to unify. I don't know if he would want the IBF belt with the rehydration. But
Mm.
I'd imagine that he probably puts quite a lot of weight on after weighing in Espinoza, just given the freakish size of him. But yeah, for my money, he's the best featherweight in the world. I think he beats all of the names that you mentioned too. Um, so yeah, fingers crossed we see those fights in the not so distant future, and he can prove to the world if he is indeed number one at 126 pounds or not. He might even, but then well, I suppose we're kind of haven't spoken about him. He could maybe move up as well, so plenty of options for him at 130. He's definitely got the frame and the size for it. So yeah, that could be another interesting one. Niall, appreciate your time as always, mate. Thanks for jumping on with me, guys. If you're watching and not doing so already, please do subscribe to the channel at ESBR Boxing on YouTube. Follow us on all social medias, as well as liking the video and letting us know in the comments all your thoughts on what we've just discussed. Niall, thanks very much for joining me. Speak to you again very soon.
Cheers, take care.